Now, probably over 35 to 40 people are working on the project within OverWorld itself, but also in our partner studios that are helping us bring the vision to life. And the mint for that very exciting action RPG is coming on the 15th of December, which, is coming pretty soon. And, I feel blessed. The market was really bad and we didn't time it per se, but finally it's kind of like turning around and it looks like euphoria is on. I mean, everything is bumping and it has reduced my stress of like, oh well, we mint what is now. I'm like, oh yeah, it's easy peasy, and I can focus on what's the next step. How do I bring value to our holders? How do I create something that is just like a top 10 NFT collection and a top one Web3 game in my mind.
That is just brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing records and your goal, your ambition, and your vision to us. And certainly, yeah, as we see, Lee, lots of people have been talking about Overworld, right? Finally, we have more updates. Since last time, I remember we started to schedule AMAs back in March, and then we had an AMA around during my summer break when I was still in Taipei, and now I'm back in the US, New York City over there, very cold weather. And finally, in this holiday season, we'll have Overworld NT collection going to launch pretty soon in December. So we're looking forward to hearing about it. And let's go to the topic directly. How could people get a whitelist spot, and how much does that cost? And how about the utilities? Is that going to be a PFP or a gaming asset? Because I've seen lots and lots of people posting on their Twitter, right? To wanted to be able to claim one of the whitelist spots. What's the mechanism behind this, and what's the criteria that you choose the winners? Thank you. Oh, am I still connecting?
No, I was muted.
Okay.
So there are, I believe, 4 ways to get a whitelist, right? Some of them are actually done. So number 1 was the whitelist application. We launched that website, I believe, Friday of last week, and in 4 days or 5 days, we got over 50,000 applications. So when I closed it, it was 49K, and we got even more from them. But we only reviewed the 49K. I think that was more than enough, right? So those applicants have already been selected. We'll announce to everyone who's on the final whitelist list a couple of days before mint. But it was, very, very challenging. I think only 1,000, 1,200, 5,500 was selected via that method. And the way we did it was looking at, activity, reviewing the answers of everyone, seeing what type of affinity they had when they're regarding to NFT collections, how long they hold their NFTs, how long when do they buy, when do they sell, but also do they like Web3 gaming, right? I think if you had Web3 gaming NFTs in your wallet, that was like a big amount of points that was added, probably one of the biggest. So that was method 1, whitelist application. That's totally done. No more are going to be given through that channel. The number 2 is collabs. So collabs, we're going to give to every community out there their final allocation on the 30th of November. The demand has been insane. I mean, literally, I've been bombarded by messages, and my DMs are closed. So our poor social media team is just like inundated in messages. Like, we've heard from one of the top 3 collections. I posted about it yesterday. Told us, we're the biggest project in terms of requests since Q2 of this year. So the biggest project in the second half of the year. So every community is going to have their allocation on the 30th. You have until the 6th to give us the final list of wallets. It needs to be a token gated raffle or giveaway or locked rolls. So no public raffle. If I hear that there was a public raffle, I'll just take that allocation out. As simple as that. I hate public raffles. It just gets you bots, which is the worst. I want great community, great holders, people that are going to be adding a ton of value to what we're building. And then number 3 is participation on our social media, what we call be worthy, and that's just creating amazing art, creating amazing threads, just enhancing the marketing of OverWorld, making sure it's like everywhere all the time. we're giving something like, I think total is like 500, and that's between Sesame Quest, the Worthy, etc., etc. And then finally, if you have an OverWorld key, you automatically get a whitelist spot on top of a free Incarna. So those are the 4 ways you can get a spot.
Got it. 4 different ways, and I've seen lots and lots of requests, right? Especially in our AMA comments, you could see, will I be able to get it? And everyone tagging "Be Worthy." This is a slogan of Overworld. And well, any plan, because from last time, right, when we were when we started to schedule our AMA back in March, and then finally we have it in the summer. At the time, we Jeremy, I remember you said that in the coming months, right, we'll have major announcements. So we finally, wait for this. And the overall marketing team has been, should I say, quiet for a while, because stop a lot of collaborations, right, until recently. What's the transaction between Lee's past, should I say, past half of year during the very, very bad market situation? That how do you plan to get everything ready and then to push it out, and what's the strategy for this round of promotion? Thank you.
Great question. During the peak bear, listen, we've been ready since April approximately, right? But April was kind of like the start of this peak bear phase. So internally I said, okay, we don't release any of our great content, none of the animation, none of the illustration, and we just keep quiet. Maybe we send one GMGN on our Twitter a week, but very, very quiet. The reason is simple, right? In Web3, all that matters is the 5 to 6 weeks before your mint. You don't need to build a community over like years. I've talked to projects, because Exterio is also a launchpad, and some people say, oh, but don't we need 6 months to build a community? And I tell them, no, that's just not the reality. You just need a killer marketing campaign in like 5 weeks, because Web3 has very short memory, right? It's like it moves on to the next big thing, and it's going to be true for Overworld. The moment we mint, we're going to be yesterday's news, and people will look at like, okay, maybe I've made a profit on Overworld or any other collection, and whether they didn't get a whitelist, they just move to the next opportunity. It's part of the transaction in Web3. It's part of the culture. So the reason why we targeted December is absolutely not tied to this upcoming bull. To be honest, we didn't foresee it. I expected it, but I expected it mostly out of previous data coming from gaming, right? In the December period, you tend to have an upswing in spend. People are euphoric. It's the end of the year. It's the Christmas time. It's it's New Year's Eve, and people tend to spend more, right? They tend to want to celebrate life a little more. They tend to want to enjoy things a little more. And that's why I put it on the 15th of December. And the 15th is when most Americans get a paycheck as well, which statistically helps. Luck has been on our side. And sometimes, all the time, businesses is the combination of preparation and luck. And so, good for us. We have this like micro bull, especially in gaming. And we're seizing, the entire opportunity. And why December? Honestly, it's because the game is gonna, soft launch for holders in April, and I wanted to have enough time to airdrop the token in Q1. I wanted to have enough time to start selling the land collection, which is only going to be purchasable with the token that is airdropped, right? And so that's how we create value in the token. That's why by immediately adding additional in-game assets you can purchase, and those are finite supply. And so, I just decided let's do December. Now's the time, and really all that matters is a 5-week marketing campaign, and I think ours is, it's doing okay.
Gotcha. So just like what you say, right? Like Web3 culture is very short. We have very short attention span, and 5 weeks of viral marketing is enough. So we know that to promote the Overworld's NFT collection, Jeremy's opinion is that the team does not need a full 6 months of campaign to promote the collection and build a community. How about the game's lifespan? What do you think in Web3? Because we could see that currently not many Web3 gaming's lifespan or other X to earn, right? Projects lifespan could be quite long and people still stick with it. How would you tackle on this issue? Thank you.
Yeah. I think, the problem with play to X, play to earn, Web3 games, right? One, it's very niche, right? Which is a massive problem. You're only targeting maybe 20,000 actual users, right? It's a very, very small market. And beyond the 20,000 users, it's pure extractors, right? The speculators. They don't even play the game. They just see something as like the potential of, pumping. You cannot build a game business with that audience. It's either too small or purely extractive, and only extractive. If everybody wants to take their money out, well, it's a bank run and the bank closes. Right? It's very simple. You need to have a balance between additive audiences, meaning people that spend in the game, and audiences that extract out of the game. And so the way I think about it in Web3 is, I'm not building a Web3 game. I'm building an amazing free-to-play game on PC and mobile that targets millions of people, that delivers a deep, rich, immersive, fun experience, but that is leveraging the power and the design value of digital ownership. And that's going to be, finite economy, which is critical to OverWorld, meaning everything in the world universe is finite and you need to play to acquire those assets. And the token value, which is kind of like the blood, the economy of the entire OverWorld universe. And so really that's how we think about it. It's like for Web3 to work, it needs to target free-to-play players. It needs to be on mobile. And only great companies are able to build successful free-to-play games, because you need to compete with all of the other free-to-play games. You need to compete with Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail and Candy Crush and Marvel Strike Force, right? And you need to have experts doing it. I think it's very challenging in Web3 because there's not that many great developers focusing on that space. Gabe Layden is one. I see Sage here. There's us. There's a couple more, but honestly, I probably can only think of like 10 good developers in Web3, at least in the West, right? People that have proven expertise, that have been successful, and that leverage that expertise to build, in Web3. But once again, I think all of us, all of the greatest here, right? Gabe, Sage, Chris, myself, the team at Shrapnel, the team at Azra, like we all have the same philosophy, which is like we need to be where people are, because that's how you build billion-dollar businesses, right? And I think if you come from Web2, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, just who cares? I mean, it's nice, right? But it's a small business. I think we're all targeting, 300, 500, $1 billion a year in revenue, right? That's what excites us. So it just needs to be accessible. And if you only focus on the play to X gameplay, you're going to just have a lifespan of 3 months, right? It's the friend tech problem, right? It goes up, 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 up. And at some point, there's a last bozo holding the bag. And everybody before that made money, he loses money. And that's the end of that life cycle.
Exactly, it's quite sad, but just like what you say, right? The situation is that if everyone focuses on X to earn, right? Whether it's a Web3 gaming or a social buy project, right? Life cycle, well, at the most probably only lasts for 3 months. So, do you plan to launch your game in Web2 as well to attract more people? Because just like you mentioned, right, the number that we might see over here in Web3 could be as low as only 20,000 actual users, and others might be bots or scientists who just could open 1,000 accounts by themselves or by a team. Right? So do you plan to expand it in Web2 as well, since that you have a lot of experience in Web2?
I mean, absolutely. There's no other way to win. It's very simple. Yes, our game is going to be on the Epic Store. It's going to be on mobile devices on the Apple and Google Play Store. The audience, I would say, if we hit our goals, it's going to be 95% Web2 players, right? And hopefully we're going to be able to convert those players to transacting on chain and trading items. But I don't think that you're going to see a mass catalyst of Web2 players becoming degens, right? Those are totally different cultures, totally different type of individuals, totally different motivations, right? Our goal is really to have those millions of free-to-play users and, allowing them to trade. But the trading of those users is going to be very small, right? It's probably going to be something like less than $50 a month, if not less, 10. Free to play monetizes on 2 to 3% of the total audience, and the vast majority of those only spend a couple of bucks a month. Only 0.01% spends, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And so that's how I think about scaling it, right? You need to distribute Web3 games everywhere. I think that was kind of like the big sin of Web3 is this fantasy of like, oh no, we can skip the 30% tax from Apple and Google and release it only on browser and only for this like token gated audience, and that's utter fantasy.
Exactly. Sometimes, yeah, just like fantasy, right? People, keep saying we are going to bring mass adoptions to Web3 through some very cool gaming projects. We can bring millions and billions new players over here, just like back in 2021, right, with the X Infinity's like kind of hype. But yeah, after that, we don't really see any other huge project. Maybe Steppen could be one of them. However, still short lifespan is always a problem. So how about tokenomics of the OverWorld game that we would like to share with us?
So the vast majority of the token is going to be tied with gameplay actions, right? So it's going to be completing quests, it's going to be trading with other players, it's participating in challenges and leaderboards and competitions. And that's going to be the vast majority of the token that is going to be in the game. And the value of the token is just going to be based on the available supply and demand, both in the game and out of the game. And that's somewhat beyond our control. So 3% of the total token supply is going to be dropped to initial holders, and we're going to NFT holders in Q1 of next year, and we're going to sync as much as those tokens as soon as possible through our OverWorld marketplace, where you can buy, in-game finite lands and a bunch of other assets, the Forge, the Great Spirits, some weapons, etc. So everything in our marketplace is going to be tied with the use of the Manasite token. 2% per year for 3 years if you soft stake your Incarna NFT as an additional reward. Beyond that, the treasury, of course, is retaining a couple of percent of Manasite in order to manage the supply and make sure we are able to course correct the economy if need be. But then the majority is going to be done through gaming. I think it's somewhat similar to the model that Big Time did so successfully. And when you look at the TVL of Big Time, it's absolutely insane, and I'm very proud of that team for being so successful.
That is true, right? Big Time, yeah. I think kind of be part of the project to start a wave of Web3 gaming hype in toward the end of this year, which was amazing. And well, so let's also talk about OverWorld's marketing strategy. Just like you say, the team only spent about less than 5 weeks, right, before the MT collections launched, that to push this project out and to make it so viral. I see lots of people, they are bullish about it, and we also see the pre-sale, right? Currently, the pre-sale already got over 500 Ethereum. Is that right? I see some records over here on chain. How do you make it happen?
Yeah, I was wondering when were people going to look at the on-chain data. This is a culmination, the reason why the pre-sale has been so successful, right? I'll be honest, initially we only wanted to pre-sale maybe 20%, and I mean, yeah, we're at 50% pretty much. It's not alpha, as you said. If you're smart and you go on chain and you look at the amount of transaction, it's basically 50%. So the supply remaining, this is the big alpha, is only 3,000. So it's going to be very, very, very competitive to get one. It's a combination of a couple of things, right? It's one, a great product. It's a great team. It's also all of the relationships I've built in Web3, but before Web3, right? So Animoca is a huge buyer in our collection, one of the biggest. And it's because I've known Yat for, I think, 9 years now. I've known Yat when he just started talking about Web3. He was, still in Web2. We were in Finland, and he talked to me about Web3. And at the time, I won't lie, I was like, well, what is he? That guy drank too much tonight. He's crazy. But he was a visionary early on. And you had Yat, but also Gabby from YGG, and YGG is also a big participant, and a lot of additional friends from game collections, from big communities, from big buyers globally in Asia and in the West. And I think all of that just culminated in us being able to pre-sell so much, and we've put some pretty strict vesting around it, so it's not going to flood the supply when trading happens. A lot of those big buyers have some pretty strict vesting rules that we've applied. But yeah, I think when I'm often asked this question of 0.15 in a bear market, and my answer is prices are dependent on market conditions. And if you're able to sell 50% of your collection, honestly, it was a week. And I was not even at the office. I was traveling for business, and I was just doing it on my phone, asking big influencers, not influencers, but Yacht and YGG and a lot of those top groups. Hey, would you like to participate in a pre-sale? They came back with massive demand, right? And I think it just shows when there's demand, the price is worth it, and you see it today on OpenSea on so many great collections like block games, like grapes, etc., etc. So yeah, we've been lucky, and selling 3,000 NFTs that remain is going to be, I think, I don't want to say pretty easy, but it's easier than 6,000, right? Because the demand has not changed, but the supply has been cut in half.
Got it. Oh my goodness, the supply is certainly limited. And I see that here is a good question coming from Olaf. Olaf was asking, hey, could you please ask this question for me? Because we have seen several sneak peek video of OverWorld game, but we have not, all of those were kind of like animation, right? Can we see any more videos of the game?
So we're gonna have our first teaser either the day of the launch or right after. It's gonna be our first teaser, but the reason why we have not revealed too much of the game is that we need to retain as much of that value for when we hit not only the alpha, but more importantly, when we start to approach Twitch streamers and big marketing companies and big marketing outlets like IGN, right? If we were to release videos of the game right now, you lose a lot of those values, because those channels, the one thing they ask for is exclusivity, right? If you go to an IGN and you want to be on YouTube on IGN or get an article about the game, they always ask you can we get an exclusive, right? And if you say, well, no, everybody knows about the game, then they don't see a value, right? IGN, their traffic is mostly around premium quality, and so that's why I'm being very cautious around not releasing too much too early. You want to be able to tap into big marketing, right? So that's why. But yes, we're gonna have some small teasers, but we need to retain most of that critical value for when we hit the big times.
Got it. So waiting for the right moment to share more videos about the overall game. And how about, since we are talking about gaming, right? Could you please also share some expected timeline for the game's release? Thank you.
So the alpha for NFT holders is going to be around April or May. It's partially contingent on when we're going to list the token, right? If for people here that have experience listing a token, listing companies, the date is flexible until pretty much until the last minute, right? So working very, very closely to a big listing company that everybody knows to schedule that mint, but things move. And approximately 6 weeks after we launch the token is when the game is going to be out for alpha holders, for NFT holders. So it's only going to be 6,000 players initially. Probably it's going to be half, because most people that are only speculators. Let's be honest, they're not going to take the time to install the client and play the game. But we want feedback from those players, right? The game is going to be still in an early stage, so we want to understand, is the economy tuned right? What do you think of the pacing of the attacks, the difficulty scale? What about the onboarding? What about the transactions and the trading and crafting? How do those things work from a UX, UI, economy perspective? Hopefully month after that, we'll do an closed beta between the NFT holders. We'll give NFT holders a bunch of invite codes so that they can invite their friends, and then we'll add a bunch of just like public folks to play the game. Same thing, we'll test, we'll iterate, and hopefully 6 months after that. Sorry, I'm like a little under the weather and a little tired. We're gonna do the global launch on PC. A couple of months after that, we'll do the global launch on mobile devices.
Wow. So yeah, the strategy is very good and looking forward to it. I see that some people saying that OverWorld is going to make history. We're looking forward to it. Yeah, OverWorld to the world everywhere and then bringing more people to Web3. That is really nice. And now we would like to invite some friends up to the stage to ask questions because it's about time. And sorry for the delay because yeah, at the beginning of today's session, I think we got 3 other True Spaces links that didn't work, and now we have Ninja Maze on the stage. Hello, would you like to ask a question to Jeremy Lee, co-founder of Xero and OverWorld? Thank you. Can Ninja Maze hear me? If not, we are going to invite another friend up to the stage to ask questions. And be sure to go to a better Wi-Fi spot so that you could be invited.
Sorry. Can you hear
hi,
me?
Ninja May.
Yes,
hey
we
could hear you now.
Hey, Jeremy. Hey, Moonlight. So, I know Jeremy loves Japanese culture, and my question: it's possible to create a manga or something like that in future? And how do you see the future of OverWorld a year after the game launch?
Yeah, it's a good question in the sense that I've seen a ton of Web3 communities, doing some dumb things in my mind, which is, one, organizing expensive parties, physical ones. It's totally stupid. Most of your audience is like international. If you're not, meme land or Bored Ape, it's not worth it. Or creating manga or things that are pretty small and like are only going to be of interest to a small portion of your existing community, right? Our approach is very different. Our approach is like mass scale, right? And so rather than spend time on things that only cater to, our, very small community, we think our value add is expanding the interest for the brand, right? It's not serving an existing community that is so small. So the focus is going to be on the game, and that's it until the game is successful. And once the game is successful, once we have millions of players that have installed the game, that know the brand, of course, I'd love to do. I'm very close to Netflix. I'm very close to all the Hollywood production company. Of course, I'd like to do it to make an anime. Of course, I'd like to do a manga. But it always scares me when I see NFT collection that basically have no product, right? And are pretty small. Like, oh, we're gonna do an anime. I'm like, what do you think is gonna be Netflix's response when you tell them you want to do an anime? They're gonna say, how many people know your brand? And you're gonna say, oh well, we have 3,000 volume in transaction. We've got 2,000 orders. Like nobody cares, right? So our goal for the next 2 years is mass growth in terms of users. Once you have that, the doors of the entertainment world open. But until then, me focusing on like a small manga or pretending we're going to do an anime would just be like a terrible waste of time. I want to do things that benefit our holders on a global scale, not on a micro scale. But yes, I'd love to do it. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for answer.
Thank you for joining the
And
space
have
today.
a nice day, guys. So.
Yes, happy Friday, especially it's Black Friday shopping day for US people. And over here we got Kills for Cookies. Hello, Cookies. Would you like to ask a question to Jeremy? Thank you.
Hey, Jeremy. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear perfectly. Thank you.
Basically, I have 2 questions. First one, will there be any protection against the whales? For example, they will have many NFTs, so the ordinary people won't feel themselves helpless.
Yeah, you mean in the game, right?
Yeah.
No, let's be very honest about how free-to-play works and how the real world works. Having more money gives you unfair advantage. It's just the sheer reality of things, right? When you look at free-to-play games like a Forex strategy, the top players are also huge spenders. And those games and those economies function because those players spend, right? The way you handle that is by creating different instances around players and making sure they're matched with the right players, people that are of this similar strengths and spend patterns. Because the land is going to be purchased with Manasite, I do suspect that there's going to be a ton of people buying Manasite from the NFT holders and then buying land with it. And the truth is, we may see, big accounts, like big names coming and sweeping land or sweeping a ton of Manasite, right? We're not going to control that because that would be us manipulating the market, and that's just not acceptable in my book. But the way I think about it mentally is we were all born in the same world, and only 0.1% of the global population owns 99.9% of the wealth, right? It doesn't mean you cannot, rise from your beginnings and become, super wealthy yourself. In case people don't know, but I grew up, pretty, I don't want to say poor, but I was lower middle class in France, definitely lower middle class. And, things turned out pretty okay for me, right? So there's not going to be like protections, because what would it mean? Like, do I have to take the land from someone that paid good money for it? No, right? So in Overworld, when you begin the game, there is a high probability that a lot of the land is owned by a few hands, and that's okay with me, right? Because then it's up to the players to play more, complete more quests, grow in strength to the point where they're able to pool resources and buy back those lands from some of those land barons.
Yeah, okay, and pretty clear. Thank you. And I have one more question, please. How to avoid, in your opinion, player disbalance, PC players and mobile phones players?
Can you repeat the question? I'm not sure I understood.
There will be mobile phone players on your game and PC players. So normally PC players are more skilled. They have.
Oh, I see.
Reaction.
So the game does not rely on like high input, high reaction time, right? It's not an RPG. It's an action RPG where you're able to preset command or preset your strategy, and so there's not going to be this like massive gap in skill set between those two audiences, right? And that's something that really matters to me, because I fucking suck at FPS shooters, right? I suck at League of Legends as well, and so we're building a game that, while it's flashy, while it's action oriented, both players, regardless of devices, have similar advantages regardless of platform. But yes, we'll balance things when we get the data, but it's not a high eye-hand coordination type of game.
Yeah, got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cookies, for asking the questions. And we see 3 a.m. over here. Hello, 3 a.m. Would you like to ask a question? I saw you post a lot of great questions. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, we could hear you. Thank you.
Amazing. Hi, guys. I just wanted to ask, because you said that you were ready to launch the game 6 weeks after the listing, or the alpha stage of the game, sorry. That would suggest that you're quite far along in the development. I was wondering if you know when we'd be seeing any sort of gameplay teasers or anything like that, just because I'm interested to see some gameplay at some point.
We just answered. So on the day of the mint, or right after, we're going to do a small teaser of the game. It's going to be a very small, like 5-second inspirational video we're working on right now. But then, as I mentioned, you want to keep those big marketing beats for when you need them, right? And it's a bit of a mistake for some games to release footage too early. And the only reason is that the way you're going to really grow is by launching a big marketing campaign around the game and its announcement, right? And to do that, you need to partner with IGN, you need to partner with GameSpot and Twitch streamers and big outlets where 99.9% of the global population is going to learn about your game. If you've released game footage before, here's what happens. When you go to IGN or you go to your press, PR agency, and they approach those channels, the first thing they ask is, can I get an exclusivity, right? And if your answer is like, well, we've actually released footage of the game before, then you're not going to get a good placement. Maybe they're going to list it on YouTube, but they're not going to push it on any marketing channels, and you're not going to get any interviews from GameSpeed or TechCrunch or whatever, right? And so, we've decided to, keep that close until we're making a big marketing push, and that's the right thing to do if you want to be super successful. But understood that in Web3, it's been kind of like misused by the wrong people.
Yeah, that's a super insightful answer. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. And let's see if we got any friends wanted to join us to ask questions over here. Yeah, I'm going to pull out friends if you have your nickname with OverWorld, because now then I know that you really having been paying attention to the project. And I'm also going to gently put some friends down. And Jeremy, meanwhile, please, pick a best question from today's audience who come up to ask questions. The first friend was Ninja Maze, and we're going to gently put you down because we need to have more people coming up to the stage, and the stage is so crowded. Also, Guilds for Cookies. We're going to also gently put you down right now, and we have 3 a.m. Going to gently put you down right now, and we're going to pull out more up to the stage. Okay, because I know friends have been waiting, right? Over here, we got another question from the audience. He's called So Freak, and he says, as part of the honorary role on the OverWorld Discord, just want to ask if the honorees still have a chance to get a key or any
Oh man,
alpha.
I hate that question. I hate it so much. You know why I hate it? Is that those people like are pure like extractors, right? A while back, we changed, the key system, and we said, okay, we're not going to distribute as many. Sorry if you didn't get one, and it was just based on community participation. And so, some people like were right out the cutoff, and we said, hey, we're going to leave you in the Discord, and maybe we'll give you a key later. And now that the keys was 4 ETH, right? The amount of questions that I get is like, one, of course, I'm being inundated with whitelist requests, right? Of course, especially like people that suddenly like out of the woodwork. Oh, I love your thing. I've never talked to you. I barely talk about OverWorld, and I want a whitelist. Already that I'm like, okay, but man, the people who are like key chasing would be the people that flip it tomorrow, not even tomorrow, the next minute, right? And so the answer is zero, zilch, null. The moment you ask me that question, and I see your Twitter activity, and there's like barely any mention of OverWorld, you've done nothing, you've added no value. Like, no, you're not worthy of a key. So 0 chance. Done.
Got it. Sorry for the friends who asked the question, and now we got 2 friends up here, and then we will wrap up today's session. So, Go Bells, would you like to ask your question? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay,
Thank
nice.
you.
I was also doing a workout in the gym, so I ask in between now. Question to Jeremy. We know that you're friends with Sesh, and he's also like doing a great job within the Web3 space, developing his own game. He also released some Genesis collection. I'm really curious why. No, let me ask it like this: do you also talk to people in Web3 and get your inspiration out of it? So why you do choose this road and why you don't choose the other road, for example?
Sure. I have a meeting in literally right now, so I'm gonna answer, and then I'm gonna like disconnect really fast. So thank you so much for having me. Like, that's awesome. I'll get back to the Ultiverse family on the 30th with the allocation. But this was an awesome AMA, probably a top 5 in my book. So really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Like, the answer is, of course, I'm getting inspiration. I talked to Gabe, I talked to Ray Chan, I talked to Sash, I talked to Shrapnel. if you're in this business, especially in Web3 gaming, we all know each other from Web2, right? Like, and we know each other even better now because we're in this even smaller community. My philosophy about things is to always doubt yourself and always ask around for the best way to do things. And some people ultimately are wrong, right? But I think their input helps you make an educated decision, right? I think there's been nothing worse for Web3 than I think those like chest thumping founders who say, I know everything, I'm gonna succeed. Yeah, those are the people I've seen fail. And it makes me laugh because if you've been a builder, if you've been a founder, you know that it's a fucking miracle when things work, and it's hard, and sometimes you don't even know why it worked, right? I've made games and that were just hyper successful, and honestly during development I was like, it's not gonna work, and vice versa. I've made games I thought would work and they didn't. And so trying to be as educated as you can is super important. That sometimes you disagree, sometimes you agree, but the moment you have all of these data points, they help you come up to your own resolution. So yeah, Sash is fucking awesome. Alex Ring is fucking awesome. And that KPR is fucking awesome. There's just like so many great founders. And I think what makes us Web3 founders pretty unique is that, we've gone through the bear together as well, right? And so it creates like very strong bonds because it creates like a very high level of like stress and stakes, and that makes us pretty good friends. So that's it. I have to bounce now. I'm already late for another meeting, but thank you so much, Moonlight. Thank you so much, PCP. I really appreciate everyone, and looking forward to coming back to you on the 30th. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, and happy holidays, Jeremy, to you and your family. Really appreciate that. And friends, no worries. Well, we actually this is our second interview with Jeremy, the co-founder of X0 and OverWorld. And I'm going to also try to find, digging our previous AMA session as well. We were one of the earliest AMA with Jeremy in Web3. That was back in August. Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm going to ping it on the stage as well. So if you missed it, you could definitely go back to these two AMA sessions and try to find some, find some inspirations, right? Or try to find some alphas, because definitely we all know that Web3 builders are very busy and this is holiday season. So anyways, I'm going to double checking. Yeah, I think I can just retweet it over here. Okay, yes, I pinned it to the top of our stage. And I'm also going to put the previous AMA session down over here that more people could find it. Here we go. That was our AMA one. Okay, and then we got, this is our second AMA. Also, be sure to follow our friends on the stage because a lot of them are actually our Ultiverse Live builders, right? Or core team members are up here to the stage, and be sure to give them a follow because they are working really hard behind the scene. Follow Ultiverse so that in the near future, when we organize more AMA sessions with the most popular Web3 projects, you won't miss it. Every time we do have giveaways, either whitelist spots or empty airdrops or cryptos, right? So we do that often. Don't forget to join us for our next AMA session. Let me see. I'm going to play some music for everyone to follow each other. And then we're going to happily ending this session. We also have a meeting to go, even though it's holiday season. But in Web3, there's no holidays. Yes, let's just keep working, keep building. and make this space a stronger place for everyone. Wish you a happy 2024 in advance. Just about a month, right? We're going to go to a new year. And we can wait to see what the new year will bring to us, especially in Web3 with the domain of technology. You can see it's transforming every day, right? If not every moment. Just amazing. Okay, Lisa Moonlight, once again, thank you for joining us today. We're going to see you next time. We'll have more AMA sessions to come at our Ultiverse Live show. Thank you so much for being here today. Happy holidays. May you a very prosper holiday season with your